Hello, this is Marsha McLean, your professional sister. Thank you so much for joining us and spending a part of your Sunday with us. We really appreciate it. I have a wonderful guest speaker with me today by the name of Darlene Cotton. She is a financial coach. She is going to help us how to manage our finances during COVID-19. And I'm so grateful that she's here. Darlene, could you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Sure. First, I just want to say thank you, Marsha, for inviting me on and allowing me to
Absolutely.
speak about finances. And I just want to say happy Mother's Day to all those mothers out there and mothers to be. And
Oh,
again, thank you so much for having me. I'll just start off by saying, again, my name is Darlene Cotton. I'm an author, a speaker, and a personal finance coach. And to give you a little history about how I got started, I used to invest in real estate. Still an investor, but I started back with I was investing in real estate. And my husband and I and started buying pre foreclosures, fixer uppers, and rental property. And within a 2-year period, we were able to acquire 9 properties within 3 different states, which were
oh, wow.
California. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, California, uh, New York, and Texas. And so it was life was going well. We had passive income coming in, and we decided at that time that we were going to move to Atlanta, Georgia, because the housing market was a little less expensive and
Okay.
cost of living compared to California. That's where we were living. So we packed up, moved to California. That was back in October of 2006. October 2006. January 2007. We bought our primary property, and so we were settling in, had our rental properties, primary property. Life looked like it was going well for us. And then a lot of you know what happened in 2008. So within a 12-month period, the market crashed, and we end up trying to figure out how we were going to pay for 9 properties instead of
Oh, wow.
retaining that cash flow. Yeah, so it was a really, really, really hard time for us financially. We, people that were renting our homes were having difficulty at their jobs, so they weren't able to pay us a full month's rent. Property management company still wants to get paid. We still had, 9 homeowners insurance payments we had to make. There was just bills piling in.
Piling up. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was definitely a hard time for us. It was not only a strain for us financially, but I would say relationship wise, it was hard on our marriage. We had just a really, really hard time. And so I remember basically just crying out to God saying, how do we get in this mess? I'll back up just a little bit. Growing up, in my early 20s, I used to charge on credit cards. I thought I was pretty financially responsible because I would pay my monthly payments on time. But I had a
Okay.
lot of credit cards. You like that shiny card and you could swipe it,
Yeah, I'm
of all
telling
those
you.
department stores. And so I was like, okay, so life is good. I'm being responsible. I'm paying my bills on time. But what I didn't realize soon is that I was in debt. Just because my credit score looked good, I still had debt. And but I wanted to move from where I was living to Sacramento at that time. So I made a plan. I was going to pay off my debt and move. And so I did. This is before I got married. So I made that plan. I was disciplined. I stopped charging. I paid off that debt except for a car that I had just bought, and I moved to California. Well, within I'd say about 3 months of moving to California, I got right back in debt, and I just started
Oh,
charging
wow.
again on those credit cards. And so fast forward, like I said, with the real estate and getting in debt when the market crashed, when I cried out to God, I was just like, how do I keep getting myself in debt? It was a cycle, and it didn't matter how little money I had or how much money I was making. I still found myself in these debt cycles of just charging and building up debt. So what I felt the Lord was speaking to me was based on Proverbs 22:7, that says the rich rule over the poor and the borrower is a slave to the lender. So the borrower is a slave to the lender. And what he showed me was we had all these properties that we had purchased with minimal down payments, and we didn't really own any of them, outright. The bank
Okay.
owned the majority of them, right? So on that
Yeah.
deed, it said whatever bank it was, and then my name or his name was on it. But the bottom line is the bank owned the majority. So when we couldn't make those mortgage payments, then it came to a point where we had to do short sales. And so anyways, through that, he gave me that principle of just, he wants us to be out of debt. And so through that, I ended up writing a book. And the book is called Slave Mentality: Break Free to Financial and Spiritual Freedom. And in this, what I did was basically, here's what the book looks like. But basically, to
Can you
show
slide?
you,
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
yeah. So basically, what I did was like I said, what God showed me about just getting out of debt, we ended up taking courses, and we were in tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt. Like I said, with the tenants not being able to pay their rent, we had credit card debt already, and taking a course and just gathering resources about finances and being disciplined and determined and prayerful and following a plan, we were able to pay off $42,000 worth of debt in less than 24 months. And
Wow.
that's what I share in my book, along with, prayer meditation. But the main thing was just like, we got to follow this plan. We have to really just seek God and guidance. And so that's how I got started. So as I was writing the book, I went to a conference. And while I was at the conference, I was on my way back from the conference. One of the ladies that was at the conference with me, she asked me what was I doing? And so I shared with her that I was writing this book about getting out of debt. And she said, well, could you help me? Would you mind helping me with my finances? And so I said, sure, I'll share with you what I know, or what I've used. And sure, I'd love to share with you.
Hmm.
So in that process of doing that, I ended up coaching her and helping her to pay off debt and put like 10,000 in her bank account. And so with that, I thought, this is something that I really enjoy, the passion being able to help other people. And that's how I got into the coaching business. So that's just a synopsis of what I do and how I got started.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing that. But it sounds like what you and your husband went through in 2008 is kind of similar to what we're going through now, a different circumstance, but we're still kind of going through it. So I really would like for you to talk to people today about managing your finances today when the income may be limited. People have lost their jobs. Really kind of want to talk about that. Or like if you have no income, and I know some people may be like, I don't have no income. I don't want to hear this. I don't need a financial coach. But I think this is the best time because now you're basically going into what I call survival mode. And you really need some options on what to do and what not to do. And, I can help some with mental health. But when people come into my office and like, I'm hungry, I can't pat them on the shoulder like I understand. They really need some foundation on what to do, some options and some resources. And I want us to kind of have a conversation about that. And if I touch on something that you can't elaborate on, we'll just say that because we want to be honest with our
Absolutely.
audience. But
Yes.
and I also throw some nuggets in there about mental health and self-care because this is a stressful time. A lot of people are in survival mode. People are frustrated because they don't have any money, and or they have gone down to one income where they had two incomes, and imagine all of that and kids running through the house. So that's a lot of stress to go through. So just trying to help people balance all of that. That's what we're trying to do today. So what would you say to somebody that is struggling already with like one income or reduced income? What would be some of your suggestions to them, Darlene?
Okay. I would say, first of all, I would say just to really look at your your spending. So, when I was going through the struggles that we were going through with losing our properties, I didn't want to put anything down on paper as far as a spending plan. What I call spending plan instead of it could be, some people call budget. So because I said to myself, why would I want to put everything down on paper when I already know I don't have enough money at the end of the month? So it's hurtful enough, right? When you don't have that money to make payments at the end of the month and you're trying to figure out what to do. There's shame, there's guilt, there is anxiety that goes through that. So goes through, that you go through. So I struggled with that. But when I finally said, okay, let me put everything down on paper to see where I'm at. So the first thing I'm going to say to people is to readjust. We have to readjust, right? Because with everything we're going on, some people are losing their jobs, like you said. Some people are making less money. Their hours are being cut. So your spending plan, your budget has changed. So I'm going to encourage you to write down what you have now. What does it look like right now? And I will share with you on my page. And this is just to let you know there is a spending plan that I give as a free gift on my website, darlenecotton.com. And it's right there on the top of the page. You click it and it'll send you a spreadsheet to do what I'm asking you to do. So you put in your information, the readjusted income you have coming in. And basically that's a starter to tell you, where am I at right now? How much am my expenses? And and how much do I have coming in. So readjust your spending plan based on what you have going on right now. The other thing I'm going to tell you to do is to stop your, this is why I recommend you stop your automatic payments that you have coming out to the vendor or the merchant. And what I mean by that, let's say if it's your electricity bill. A lot of us have things set up on auto pay, which I think is great because it helps us to manage our time better and pay things timely. However, when we start paying our bills directly to that merchant and it's and they are taking the money out of our account, then what happens is when our things like this shift and we're having less money coming in, then by the time we reach that merchant and say, you know, I need you to stop the automatic payment because I can't afford it, it's going to take too much time for them to do that. It just doesn't turn off like that. So if you have the automatic payment taken out of your bank account directly, this will help you to take control of your finances and be able to stop it and at the time you need to and pay maybe what you can afford to pay at that time, or pay a little bit later, whatever you need to do to adjust it so that the money isn't automatically coming out of your account with you not having any control.
Do you think that now we need to call our our lenders as well as people who do like the water lights? Would that be a suggestion? Would that be helpful as
Absolutely.
well?
That's yeah. I'm going to talk about that also.
Oh,
But I'm just
okay.
saying right now before you know, yes. And so I can get into that too. So what you want to do as far as contacting your lenders, your creditors, I'm sorry, your creditors, you want to do that first off. You want to be able to make sure that you are communicating to them, even if you think
Okay.
that you might be able to make that payment. Go ahead and communicate to them that there's a chance that you may need some help. You may need to delay payments,
Okay.
and that's one of the things I'm going to talk about. So basically, with that, your cell phone company, a lot of the cell phone companies are offering 60 days, at least 60 days, and you can call them back and see if you can get more time of delayed deferred payment of your cell phone bill. Then there's the gas and electricity companies I'm talking about. They will do the same thing. They'll do payment deferment. Your
Okay.
auto payments are another one. You know, contact your automobile companies that are doing the loans.
Yeah, the cars, the vehicles we drive. I understand.
Exactly. And then not only that, but also contact them because you're driving less, right? A lot of
Yeah.
us are staying at home.
Mhm.
So let's contact them and say, you know, I'm not driving this, I'm not using many miles. How does that affect my premium? Can we
Are you
get,
talking about the insurance, car insurance, calling our car insurance people about the
yes,
premiums and stuff? Okay, okay,
yes,
that's
I'm
a
sorry.
good
I'm talking
idea.
about the automobile altogether. So I'm sorry. I'm talking about
Look, I'm gonna have to write that
payments.
down. Okay, I didn't even think about that.
So yeah, I'm talking about both the loans and also your car insurance. So
Hmm.
thank you for clarifying that. And then cable companies, a lot of them are giving discounts during this time, and also will help you to defer payment on that.
Okay.
Now, with that too, I will say that make sure that you are keeping that the money that you're not paying out for those 60 days or whatever it is. Make sure that you are putting money aside too, because when that 60 days is up, they are still going to be requiring that money, but they will not report it to the credit bureau. So even if you can't make it,
Okay.
make those two payments up right away, they still won't report that to credit bureau.
So I know I've seen a lot in my office and just talking to people is they're saying deferments, but the expectation is you still have to pay those bills. They may be giving you extra time, but you still have to pay those bills. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. Yeah. So don't take it and that's what I was going to get into too. But what
Okay.
it rolls right into is basically also, um, a lot of us maybe looking at we had a debt payment plan. We want to pay off our debt, right? So what I'm going to recommend, even though I'm solely into like becoming debt free, this is a time unless you have at least, I would say at least 4 to 6 months saved
Hmm.
up to continue to make those monthly payments, but don't put any extra on there until you get that until you get that savings built up.
Okay.
Because what happens if we start trying to aggressively pay on our bills, lump sum here, lump sum there, then when we need that money, we don't know how long this is gonna last,
Yeah.
then we're gonna need that extra money to pay those bills.
But what would you say to somebody that just lost their job? I hear what you're saying about call people, let people know what's going on. Call your car people, your mortgage, people who your utilities. But somebody that just lost their job and may have a couple of $100, if that, and trying to figure out what to do. What would you suggest to someone like that that's trying to figure out the utilities as well as getting supplies for the house, like that toilet tissue that keep disappearing, and that paper towel, but also, trying to make sure that they have food in the house. What would you say to that person? Because what you're saying is awesome information and it can really help a lot of people. But what about the ones that's kind of under that have just lost their job, and it's like what I call a catastrophic loss? Like it has really impacted them. They were already living paycheck to paycheck and now they have no check. What are some suggestions you can provide to them?
Right offhand, I would say, there's a lot of churches that are out there to support people who don't have money or don't have food. They're doing food pantries.
Mhm.
There's, the food banks. There is there's some larger churches too that are helping people with pay their financial bills. As far as electricity, like I said, there is electricity companies that are actually not. They're saying we're not going to turn off your electricity during this time. So they're communication again, reaching out to these companies, your utility companies, your mortgage companies. The mortgage companies, I know that there's some that will defer your payment for a few months and for a couple months, and they will actually, what they will do is put your mortgage payment on the back of your loan, which I think is great,
Okay.
because that way it's not the strain and stress of, okay, in 2 months I've got to try to come up with those 2 months that I didn't pay my mortgage. They're tacking it on the back of your loan, so that'll be paid at the time you sell your house, right? So
Okay.
that really helps you. So those are the things. But again, communicating those creditors, this is the situation I'm in. And I think what's so keen about what's going on right now is that we're all in this together, right? So you're
Yes.
not alone. And it's kind of like when 2008, when the mortgage housing crisis, people were behind in their mortgage payments because everybody was in the same boat. There was a lot of leniency. There was a lot of things put in place to help people, subsidies. So this is the time to reach out to your creditors and say, I need some help, and this is the situation I'm in, and see how they can help you. And even when those 60 days come up, contact them before the 60 days and say, I need some more help. I'm going to need some more time. See if
Okay.
they'll give you some more time.
Okay. I got a question for you. So now I understand that President Trump gave out some stimulus money. I haven't gotten mine. I'm gonna have to call him, but other people have
Yeah, you
gotten
should
their
have got it by
stimulus
now.
check. And I
Yeah.
know, is it what would you say to those people who got their check? You, like I said, I'm still checking for mine. I haven't gotten it yet. But who may want to splurge a little bit, but they're not recognizing that that may be the only extra money you get for a few months, and how to try to
Right.
balance that out. And I like what you said about the churches, but some churches are feeling the pinch. So make sure that you're calling. And if that church can't help you, ask them, do you know a church that can? I also put down in the comment section about Food Finders. Food Finders is a national organization that can help you whatever state you're in. Right now, I am in the beautiful North Carolina, and Darlene is in Georgia. But anywhere you are in the United States, Food Finders can assist you with finding food if your household needs that. Also, try locally, because they're going to just pinpoint you to churches and organizations that do that. But I just want to also just encourage you to have patience when you're calling these people, because remember, we're all going through this, so they're getting a multiple calls back to back to back. So have some patience when you call. Probably call first thing in the morning, and just be prepared to be on hold. Or a lot of people can also use online. Online I struggle with sometimes, but
Mhm.
you may get some more information quicker that way. But Darlene, can you tell us some things that we probably can do with that stimulus check? Like I said, I'm still looking for mine. I'm gonna have to talk to somebody, but
Yeah.
I'm excited about getting it. But I want to be wise when I get it and not make poor decisions that may affect me, because the government is opening back up. Like here in North Carolina, we are opening up, but we don't know how this is going to affect us for months to come. So I'm trying to be realistic on what to do and what I can't do at this particular moment.
Absolutely. That's a great question. So one thing I would recommend is have a plan before that stimulus check hits your account. For some of us, we already have it in our account. I understand they're talking about giving us another stimulus check coming up here pretty soon. So
You promise? Okay,
that,
I'm
no,
gonna
I
hold you
said,
to
they're talking about it.
Okay.
I know. I wish, yeah,
Okay.
they're talking about it. So we may get it. So what I'm saying is if it's in the works, so they're talking about it. So let's see where we're going to put that money at
Okay.
before it hits our account. And that's key. That's one of the things that I coach people on is make sure that you account for every dollar and that you make sure that it is in a category before it hits your bank account. Because once it hits that bank account and it gets in your checking account, a lot of times we spend it, we don't even know where it went, right?
Yeah.
Whether we're in panic mode or whether we're like, oh, there's some extra money, or we're just got so many other things going on. And before you know it, that money's gone. So already, if you haven't got your stimulus check now, I would say let's think about where it should go and what category it needs to be in. That's why it's so important to have a spending plan in place so you know what category it needs to go in. I would say definitely one would be your savings. You want to cushion your savings right now. We don't know how long this is going to last. So this is the time to really to save and to cut back on expenses with groceries. Gasoline is definitely, you're being able to cut back on that. So where can you allocate that budget that you had for, X amount of dollars for gasoline? You're not spending that much anymore. So take that money and where are you going to allocate it to? Don't just assume that, don't just leave it in your account and assume that you're just going to be able to put it in savings. It's going to go away. You need to make sure that you are allocating and saying, okay, I'm not spending $300 a month anymore in gas. I'm spending 150 or 100. So with that other $200, where am I going to put it at when it hits, so that you know what I'm saying? So it's going to a category and being spent wisely.
Okay, and for our audience, if you have any questions for Darlene, please, if you put them down in the comment section, if you have a specific question, and I'll be more than happy to answer it. So we do have a pretty good amount of people. I'm happy for a Sunday and Mother's Day, so I'm really happy about that. But if you have a specific question, please put it down in the comment section, and we'll make sure to address that. So from a mental health standpoint, I know sometimes people talking about finances is very stressful for them, and it causes a lot of issues in relationships. So when you're saying this, I never thought, like, I'm not using as much gas, but I never thought, put it in savings, or put it somewhere for a rainy day. It never dawned on me, because if you think about it, I'm not driving as much, I'm not really going out the house, but in my mind, I was thinking, but I'm eating more at the house. I'm not, so I'm putting money there, or, all these people running around in my house. So now the light bill is more, or the kids need something. So, would you suggest maybe if we could put 10 or 20% in the savings, but also make sure that we're addressing the bills that are in the house? Because like you're saying, they're going to help us out for a month or two, but it's going to come back. So if you're used to a light bill that's $200, and all of a sudden is $600. Some people may leave home for that, so I just want to make sure that we're telling them some realistic things that they can do right now to kind of help their families.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
So what do you think about maybe, some savings, but also making sure that they're putting, being able to address the need in the house, I guess I should say.
absolutely. And I'm going to say, you got to, one thing I learned going through what we went through, being thousands of dollars in debt, is you got to cut back. So even if you're at home, make sure you're turning the lights off. Make sure that you're not, if you're not in the room, you're turning the lights off, that you are, doing things to conserve energy. But most importantly, when it comes to food, I think this is a great opportunity to be able to, you're not going out as much, right? So you can control how much you're spending. I know during the time we were eating a lot of spaghetti, chili. What are those things that can last? So if we're in a situation where we don't have that much money, then what I've been doing, which has been great, and I'm gonna continue to do this. I wasn't doing it before, but it's really helping me with my budget as far as food, is I am ordering online. So I'm going online to the public grocery store that I go to, and I place my order online. I can see right there what's on sale.
Is there a fee? Is there a fee for that? Is
No, they're
that
not charging a fee because of what's going on right now. There was a $5 fee before, which still isn't bad. And you drive up and they bring the food out to you. So with shopping online, I can actually look at my total when I hit the cart and say, okay, wait a minute, I'm over like $50. Let me go back and readjust what I'm buying right now. Do I really
okay?
need that right now? Is that a need or a want? And cutting back on what I'm spending and finding those things that grocery wise that you can cook, that's going to last you a little while. That's not going to, we're not buying steak and seafood if we can't really afford that. How can we
Yeah.
cut back on our expenses? And I just think it's a great tool to be able to see what we're spending. I'm not telling you to really cut back totally, but it's a way to be able to to really align your budget with what it should be and not overspend.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. Do you have any suggestions for parents that have children that any way they can kind of reduce their budget now that they're being teachers and having to teach at home as well? Do you know of any programs? I know Spectrum had a program that if you were in particular areas, and I'll make sure to put that in the comment, they were giving you Wi-Fi for free or for a reduced fee, and I'll make sure to put that in there. Do you know of any programs that may be able to help families that have children that are in school, that where they can kind of cut some costs related to that? Or do you have, I'm just asking, that just
Yeah.
came on my head, like let me just mention it
No,
and see.
yeah. And I believe it's just for families in general, for subscribers in general. Comcast, I don't know if they're still offering, but I believe they were offering. Well, no, okay. T-Mobile was offering free hotspots service, even if you weren't a member of
Oh
T-Mobile.
wow,
I don't know if
really?
they're still doing that. And then Comcast, they were offering a special, and I don't want to misquote, but I know they were offering some kind of special also. So I would check with those two
Okay.
merchants to see what they're offering.
Yeah, so it sounds like, call them or do a live chat to see what they're offering in your area to see how we can help the kiddos until they go back to school. You hear what I said, kiddos? Oh God. And keep in mind they're not going back to school until the fall as of right now. And I just want you all to know I will have a teacher on in a week or so to talk about ways to balance the teaching aspect and some nuggets for you parents out there that are struggling with that, with teaching as well as kind of work and keeping things together. So I will have a teacher on, just letting you all know, in a few weeks. So do anybody have any questions at all, or is there anything else that you would like to add, Darlene?
Yes. Is there any questions before I start out?
I don't see any. I saw
Okay.
somebody show me where somebody typing, but they haven't gotten it fully out, so I'll just hold off on that.
Okay. Just let me know when it comes if it comes in. And so a
Okay.
couple things. One thing is the other thing I didn't mention is student loans. So I know that's a big
Oh yeah.
deal for a lot of people. I know people that I coach. That's the biggest one of the biggest expense they have is student loans. So and if you can, I can actually type in the chat. But there, if you go to it's studentaid.ed.gov, but they are actually, if you have a federal student loan, they are automatically stopping payments. You've already probably experienced this, but from March 13th to September 30th of this year, they are automatically stopping payments. You don't have to pay your student loan right now, and it's being placed on a forbearance. Also, I know personally that people have stopped their student loans for a whole year out.
Okay.
So go
Can
to,
you type me that
sure,
information and I'll make
I'll just,
sure it gets in the comment, because I
can I
think
just
that's a
type it
good
right here? Is
one.
that okay? Or you
Yeah,
want me to?
type it. Uh-huh. So I think that's a good one because people are stressed and worried about their student
Yeah.
loans, and
And
that'll be a good one. Hmm.
yeah, especially just thinking about how much people their student loans are. A lot of people have a high payment, so that's money that you won't have to pay. That'll help. You can put that money other places where you need it for bills. The
Okay.
and then the other thing I really want to say, Marsha, that I just think is so important is, I think this could be a time where people really get down and out, and like I said, depression sets in. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've talked to the people that are experiencing that. I know we all have had that to some degree. I just want people to know that this crisis is really, let's look at it as a place of opportunity.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of opportunity that can happen in this time. We're spending at home, working from home. What is that thing that you've always wanted to do that you haven't started yet? What is that passion in you that you haven't had the time to really do? And setting time aside to really put those things in place, to write down what is it that you can do, that you've always wanted to do. And
Okay.
so there's a lot. Maybe it's that book you want to write.
Absolutely. But you know what? One thing that you got me thinking about, I'm sorry to cut you off. What about right now, like selling stuff at home, like with Facebook Market or eBay? Now, the only concern I have with that is still COVID-19 and doing the social distancing. But I'm wondering, could that help people financially? Like if they have some things that they can kind of sell in their home that they don't feel, don't let people in your home, but can kind of put outside somewhere that people
Yeah.
can kind of come and look at, take pictures of. That may be kind of an opportunity as well
Or ship
for
it,
them to, yeah,
you know.
to make some money. I really love Facebook Market. It is really awesome. eBay, I'm not too familiar with, but and then some clothing places too. Like if you have name brand authentic clothes, I'm just letting you know authentic. Don't make
Yeah.
be careful what you buy, but I think it's Poshmark or something like that. I don't use it, but some of my friends said they have been very successful with accessing information and getting like pocketbooks and stuff like that off of those type of places. So utilize everything kind of that you have. But Darlene was talking about a good point, like using this time to do some other things, and I'll let her get back to that.
No, that's good, Marsha. Everything that you mentioned, that,
Mhm.
and also, like you said, selling things online. But then also, just what are those? Okay, so for instance, I was thinking of, like, if there's a subject you teach, or maybe you can do that for your job. What are some things that you can do online to teach people that doesn't cost anything, that you can build? Fiverr is a great opportunity for you to market yourself online through Fiverr, of different gifts and stuff that you have that can create income on the side. And so, yeah, just thinking about those things that you can do that can increase your income and is also a passion of yours is a good time to start looking at that. Uh,
As well. I
oh,
agree with you on that. But one thing I do want to say is some people are struggling with anxiety and depression, and we are not trying to bash you. If you're saying, I'm struggling, dealing with isolation, we just want to encourage you, and we don't know who our audience is, so we just want to make sure that we are being broad with our suggestions. So I hope one or two can have absolutely that you could say, hey, I can utilize this. But the other ones, I don't want you to feel like, well, this don't apply to me, but it definitely can apply to you in the future. But it's just take the pieces that you need and leave the rest for somebody else. Is that all right? All right, then go ahead, Darlene.
yeah. And so the other thing I just put in the chat was, there's a lot of there's a few different programs out there that the government is offering. So I just put down the SBA.gov disaster, where they have different
Can you
small
tell
business
me about
loans.
that? That for small business loans?
There's small business loans. And I won't go too deep. I definitely want them to look at it because I don't want to give any wrong information. But I know that they
Okay.
have a few different ones that for small businesses, where they're offering money for small businesses that are already started
Okay.
and have an employee. And I know it was up to 10,000 that they were giving out on top. But I think it's 1,000 for each employee. But definitely call that number. That's the number that's going to give you the information. Look on the
Okay.
website and get the information so that you can see the different programs that are out there. There's also a program for unemployment, and I'm sure you may have all heard about, but you may not have. Is called the PUA, and that's for it's a unemployment for those people who are 1099 employees, independent contractors,
I've
real
never
estate
heard of
agents.
that, and I've never heard of that. Could you put that in the chat so that I can make sure that what is there? Do you know the website, or you're just saying the name?
I'm saying the name, but I know that I believe if you go to the SBA.gov, it should come up because it's part of the government program. But if not,
Okay.
just Google PUA, and I'll put that in there.
Yeah, if you can look that up, because that's one that
Sure.
I'm not familiar with, so I'm sure some other people are not as well, because I had no idea 1099 people were eligible for unemployment. So I
Yeah.
had no
And
idea about
so
that. So that's really good. Okay.
absolutely, yeah. So there's a process for that. If you couldn't get the state employment regularly, then you can, if you're 1099, you may be able to qualify for that, for the other
Okay.
unemployment benefits. So, and I'm just going to put, and I apologize, I'm going to put PAU and government subsidy, and then if I can get the direct website to Marsha, I
Yeah,
will.
Yeah, if you while you do that, if you could look that up, because I think that's some good information that a lot of people will benefit from. And I'll talk about enjoying the little things. Like it is Mother's Day. It's so pretty outside. I can't believe because it was cold here this morning. It was like 30 degrees here in North Carolina this morning. And I bring that up because it's Mother's Day. You could do a lot of stuff for free that don't cost you anything. From some flowers, going for a walk, social distancing, of course. Make sure you have your mask and your gloves on, but making sure that you are appreciating the small things, like playing a game with your kids, making sure that you're sitting together for dinner and going around the table and discussing the things that you appreciate and that you value. And the ones who are dealing with any type of anxiety, depression, reach out. Let somebody know that you're struggling. Let somebody know that you need help. And you don't have to go into detail. We don't need all your symptoms. Just say, check on me every now and again and see how I'm doing. Or if you need some access, look in your local area, reach out and figure out they have local mental health that's free or at a reduced fee. If you've lost your insurance, if you have insurance, utilize your EAP, Employment Assistance Program. I really love that program. I'm an advocate for EAP. I think that's the best thing that employers have put out there, where people can get free services. And it's not just therapy, they have financial assistance. Let me take that back. Not financial assistance. You ain't gonna get no money, but you will definitely get a 30-minute conversation with the consult. Or, like for instance, if you have gotten in trouble with like a speeding ticket or something, you could talk to a lawyer free. And a lot of people do not realize that that is part of your EAP. It's a free service to you and anybody that is connected to your benefits at work. Like if you have a child out of state, they can access those benefits. I'm telling you all about it because it all comes under finances. So if anybody's wondering why is she talking about that, I'm not. I'm just letting you know because it's all under finances. I'm not being endorsed by any. I'm not endorsing any. EAP. I'm just telling you because I feel like it's a benefit. You need to know about it and utilize it. If you don't want the therapy, have some other things that definitely will be a benefit as well. Darlene, were you about to say something?
No, I did put in the chat the website for those that are in Georgia for the Department of Labor, but also whatever state you're in, just look at the Department of Labor, and it's called the PUA. And they're offering, it's a really good program. Like if you qualify, I believe the federal is given an extra $600 per week on top of the unemployment benefit if you qualify. And one other thing I wanted to mention for people who have credit card debt, this is an opportune time to renegotiate your interest rate with your credit card companies. And then also, one thing you can look to apply for a 0% interest rate. There's a lot of 0% because interest rates are so low right now. 0% interest rate for like 21 months. They have them up to 21 months, and you can transfer your balance. And if the balance to make sure you check the fine print to see what the transfer fee is to transfer your balance. But sometimes you can transfer your balance for as low as like 0.5% or 0.05%. Something it's really low. You don't want anything over 3%. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, you're able to take that debt that you have, transfer it to this other credit card with zero interest being charged, and that way, every time you make a payment, you're paying off on the principal and not the interest. And then I recommend with the other credit card, not necessarily close it, but put it away. Don't because the idea is not to continue to charge on that one, but transfer the balance and focusing on this paying down your debt.
Okay.
So that's another strategic way of paying down your debt faster with everything going on right now.
Okay, I like that. And if you are nervous about talking to any of your providers, take a deep breath, have some relaxing music playing, have a stress ball if you need it. Just get through the call. Let them know I need assistance and I'm here, I'm asking for it. So they cannot penalize you later because you didn't ask because it made you
Right.
nervous. It's time to put your big pants on and and do what needs to be done for the sake of your household. Let's be wise and realistic, because I don't like talking to collectors, especially at a certain time of day. They are just so nasty at times. However, what I've kind of learned to do, I try to call first thing in the morning. First of all, I want to get it over with.
Yeah.
And definitely, I'm hoping they had a good breakfast and they just in a better mood when
Yeah.
they're talking to me. And I definitely hope that I have somebody with compassion. And another thing, because sometimes I get a little nervous, especially if I'm a few months behind, I write it down so I'll know exactly what I need to talk about. And even if I have somebody that's a little rough around the edges and that causes me to be stressed out, if I have it written down, I'm going to stay on point with what I need to talk about. And ask somebody to kind of help you. Now, I'm not asking you to have people in your business and make the phone call for you. But what I am saying is it's okay to ask somebody, I may need to de-stress with you afterwards because I got to call Nation Star, Mr. Cooper, the mortgage. Those are mortgage companies. Or if you got to call the people, okay? Let's just
Yeah.
be realistic. Let's ask for some help. And I'm trying to make it funny because that's what I do. I like to put a spin on difficult topics so you can be more relaxed and real like, you know what, I can do this. I have what it takes to get through with this. So that makes
Absolutely.
sense. I hope it
Yeah.
do. Of course it makes sense because I said, now let me stop. And I found out what Darlene was talking about. It's called pandemic unemployment assistance. I have never heard of this. And I put the one down here for North Carolina. These are, like she said, for people that are 1099 employees that don't get taxes taken out, but because of the pandemic, you may have access to some monies. I had no idea what it was, but I did put it down in the comment section. And the one I put down is for North Carolina, but I will look for a national one so I could put that down in the bottom as well, because that is some good tea right there. Just that alone, girl, that was some good tea right there. Because no, I've never heard of, and a few of the other people in the chat have said they never heard of it either. So I'm
Great. Well,
glad
I'm glad it was
I'm glad
helpful.
just for that. So that was
Definitely get on
wonderful.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And also I'm glad that you mentioned about the credit cards, because they just like demons at times. That you at these rates and stuff. I know I was
Yes.
approved for a credit card. They said 25%. I was like, no, no, I can't help you today. I can't
Yeah.
help you. But they had so many deals, they almost sucked me in.
Yes.
But then I had to apply the therapy to myself and be like, now, Marsha, you can't you can't do that. You can't manage that.
Yeah. It's tempting.
So I had to
That's
say
right.
no, and no is a sentence all by itself. I had to be
Yes.
assertive with myself and say,
Yes.
no, I can't do that. I like the clothes in your store, but it ain't worth all that. So
Right.
definitely, if you can call them to get that thing, I'm gonna get real country and get that thing lower. That'll be wonderful if you could definitely
Yeah.
do that.
Apply that
Do
straight to
you have
principal.
any do you have any suggestions on couponing right now with the pandemic, utilizing coupons? And some of the markets have like apps and stuff where they can give you deals. I don't know if they're still doing that with the pandemic, but do you have any comments or can speak to that a little bit at all?
Okay. I can speak on just using the rewards that you give. Like
That's what I call the rewards.
yeah, I shop at Kroger or Publix, those places you can just download the app onto your phone. I
Mhm.
don't, I'm not one of those people that I don't do good with cutting out the coupons. I leave them at
Okay.
home. So I forget them. So I just use the app. And like I said, when you're shopping online, I think it's good to, especially because we want to stay out of the stores right now, right? It's year round. We're trying to social distance. So being able to shop
Absolutely.
online, yeah. And then though you can apply those coupons at the time. What I understand too is if you get the coupons in the mail, you can actually, when you go to the store to pick up your groceries, just have those coupons. What I put them in the back where they're going to put the groceries, and they will
Mhm.
take those coupons and scan them. If you can't, they're not digital coupons that can be applied right there online, so you can do
Okay.
both. But yeah, that's one. And then when I thought about you're talking about clothes, I thought about that thing too. Now, if you really are in the need for clothes, consignment stores, that's something that where you can get clothes inexpensive if you're in need for clothes. But as far as the food, I say that doing the downloading the apps on your phone and applying those right away is would work good right now.
Okay, and some stores are opening back up where you can get some nice clothes, and they have steep discounts because they were closed for what, almost 8 weeks.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm getting a lot of alerts on my phone saying, "Hey, we got 30% off, 40% off." So that's something you definitely can look into, but be careful because your bills need to be a priority.
Right.
Now I do understand if you like me being in the house so long you done got a little bigger and your clothes just don't fit right. So I'm gonna have to use some of that stimulus that haven't come in to get me some clothes.
I know
But
what you mean. It's
I
like,
do understand, but just be careful and don't be doing what the women call it shop therapy. Am I saying that right?
oh yeah, getting
Yeah,
online, the Amazon. I mean,
yeah,
you
don't
need
please
it, but
don't
if
yeah.
it's not, if it's a want,
Don't
just
do
not
it.
right
Don't do it.
now. Just hold off.
But yeah, but I just want to thank you all for tuning in. Darlene, I thank you so much for taking time to talk to us and discuss with us about what you see that can be helpful through this COVID-19. And I just want to announce to you and everyone else that I will be talking every week on Sunday. Now, I'm probably going to move the date back. I have it at 3 o'clock right now just because everybody's home with the COVID. But when people start going to church, and I'm just going to speak for Black church stay in a little longer. So, normally about 3:47, we going to our second service. So, I'm probably going to push it back in a few weeks, probably to 6 or 7. But I am going to be speaking about different topics as you all may not know, I am a professional speaker and I speak under your professional sister. I'm serious, but I'm funny. That's my tagline. And Darlene as well, she is also a speaker. She speaks mostly about finances and coaching. So if you need one of us to assist you with a project or anything virtual, please reach out to us. Let us know how we can help, and any feedback you can give would be greatly appreciated. But you will be seeing your professional sister every Sunday, and you're going to be having what is, I'm going to call it Sundays with your professional sister. Thank you so much for taking time to spend a part of your Sunday with me. I hope that we helped you, and may God's best belong to you. Take care now.
Take care, y'all. Thank you. Thank you, Marsha.
Hold on, Darlene.
Okay.